Here's Jeff Paterson, one half of the rink-wide duo with Andrew Wadden, 1 million downloads and counting. Congratulations, sir. And our Vancouver Canucks reporter. How goes, Jeff?
Yeah, it goes well, and thanks for that. And I asked Wadden if that meant we were millionaires. He said no, so life goes on in that regard. But
yes,
hey, 1 million in this world, this digital world, it's a nice benchmark. So thanks to everybody that supported the pod, and you guys for your help, but of course, all under the same Go Goat umbrella. So yeah, it's been a good week. Good week for us.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Better week for us than for the Canucks.
More wins. Yes.
Start with the poll question on talkers. Of course, BX will be there tomorrow, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, those are all worthy candidates to be on the poll. I guess Brian Burke probably would have to be the winner of that poll, although on Twitter I went off the board a little bit for the old schoolers because Harry Neale was, and I didn't cover the team when he was here. I did have the opportunity he used to be a regular with Dan Russell on Sports Talk, and when I would fill in there, had many opportunities to talk to him as a guest when he was the number one color guy on Hockey Night in Canada. And it just kind of feels fitting as I bring up Harry Neale right now, that great quote about can't win at home, can't win on the road, and his downfall as a coach was he couldn't find anywhere else to play. And it sort of feels applicable to what Bruce Boudreau and the Vancouver Canucks are going through. So Harry Neale had the gift of the gab as well, going way back. So he should probably be considered in the conversation. But I would think Berkey is probably the guy.
Yeah.
So love him or hate him, you always listen to whatever he had to say.
The Canucks lose another one, this time to the Devils, and we were talking about just the way that it petered out last night. The danger here for the Canucks is that already here at the 10-game mark, the passion and the pull from the fans to get better, get back on your feet, might it be waning here? Might they just be like, whatever, another loss already? And that's a bad place for your fan base to be in Game 10 of the season. But the Vancouver Canucks, with their third periods in particular, Jeff, are bringing that upon themselves by not making this a good TV show, not making it a good live show for their fans.
Yeah, and look, the reaction was visceral on the home opener against Buffalo when they got trounced by the Sabres after coming off the road without a victory. And at 4-0 last night, it got a little bit grumbly, and then Bo Horvat scored and a little bit of life. But my goodness, Blake, those third periods, outshot 14-3 in Seattle, outshot 15-3 by Carolina, and last night 14-4, and just scratch a little deeper than the 14-4 midway through the period. Again, they're down 4-1. They're not likely to come back, but make it look like you think you have an opportunity at the very least. They had one shot on goal 13 minutes into the third period on home ice. So when you're talking about giving the fans who have made this financial investment, an emotional investment, they want something to cheer about. And you've given them next to nothing. And the one shot on goal, 13 minutes into the third period, I went back, I looked at the play-by-play sheet on NHL.com. It was Tyler Myers and a 46-foot wrist shot, which didn't really bring people out of the seats, I can tell you.
Shocking.
So I don't know how to explain it. 10 games in, they've played well once, start to finish, and that was the Pittsburgh game, and they were full value for that. But we cannot get fooled, and we can't allow the Canucks to try to sell this notion that, they played well in Seattle as well. They got outshot by a 2-1 margin by the Kraken. They were outshot 14-3 in the third period, and they scored 4 times on 18 shots on Martin Jones, and that was a massive part of why they beat the Seattle Kraken, and they needed that win, and we broke it down last week, so I don't want to go any deeper than that, but in my eyes, and I've been there for the home games, I have watched the road games, I would say they've played well once in 10 tries, and like, how can that possibly be any sort of path to respectability? Forget the playoffs. Like, one solid 60-minute effort in 10 games, come on. But that's who they are, and that's where they are.
Hey, at least the jerseys were a big hit. Or at least a big hit with those outside of the market. I think those jerseys are fantastic. The
rest of the NHL hasn't seen a lot of Johnny Canuck.
No, I know. I wanted to see Johnny Canuck brought to the center crest. I love that shade of blue. I think it works well with the green. So I love the necktie there. So I loved everything about them. And they got very good reviews from across the NHL. Jeff, your 2 cents, because you turned on them a little bit, huh? They warmed up on you?
Well, when they were initially rolled out, I kind of felt it had already been played out. Johnny Canuck, Abbotsford wears them. Didn't do a lot for me. I still think there were so many other options. They could have gone with reverse retro and the flying skate, different colors, and all those types of things. Look, I'm on the record. I want to see the flying V come back, even for a limited engagement. And this feels like the perfect program, the reverse retro. So when I first saw it, didn't do much for me. Then I saw Connor Garland after a practice last week, fully suited up. As the media was in the locker room, he was going out onto the ice to do some social media and some promotional stuff. And up close, I thought, yay, like they look pretty sharp. But last night from the press box, I don't know. I kind of took a step back again. Now, I think the jerseys would look a whole lot better if this team could ever win in any of these alternate, the Sprite cans that they went 0 for 4 in the COVID season. And here now they're 0 for 1, and they're going to wear them 7 more times. They were all right. They reminded me a lot of the Seattle Thunderbirds, the Western Hockey League, just the hard, like deep navy and the green and the stripes. The beige trim, I guess, is a little variation there. They were okay, but the team in them wasn't anywhere close to okay last night.
Your Boeser polls.
Well, before we Podkolzin, did we want to follow up on?
Well, he's part of this, so okay. Let's talk about your individual poll question that you put out, Jeff, about Boeser's return, and it seems it's likely tomorrow. If it was a game time decision yesterday, you think 48 more hours would get him over that hump. Who comes out of the lineup to make room for that particular winger? Podkolzin he didn't have a great night, but you'd think just based on resume, maybe gets another pass. Höglander, frequent whipping boy in this regard. Nils Åman, I mean, he's the new guy. Would it be that big a deal for him to come out, or is it a
centerman?
Is it a veteran like Tanner Pearson?
Right. So I'm on just by virtue of the position, and they don't have much up the middle right now. If JT Miller is going to stay on the wing,
right,
he probably slips through and lives to play another day. I do think, at any point, a rookie, you could sit him down for a night and eyebrows shouldn't be raised. But until Curtis Lazar is back and they have options, Jack Studnicka played last night, but 9 minutes, didn't do much, didn't have a shot attempt, didn't fare well in the faceoff circle, but whatever, that was opening night for him as a Canuck, but he kind of looked like the guy that hasn't really been able to find traction in the National Hockey League, so I didn't put him on that poll question. Höglander, look, he's already sat twice, if I'm not mistaken, and was papered to Abbotsford, but it's been a terrible start for him individually, and he was a guy that had the fine training camp and looked like maybe he had worked his way back into the good graces, but there's just been no bottom line. And Podkolzin, 10 games, no goals, very little ice time, basically a fourth-line guy now, and then coughs up the puck on the 3-0 goal that was just the backbreaker. Because at 2-0, they're not done last night. There was a lot of time. It's Mackenzie Blackwood at the other end, but just a brutal giveaway by Podkolzin and blows up in his face and winds up in the net. So he hasn't been a healthy scratch yet this year, but you do wonder just, what was it in Seattle last week? 1 shift in the third period, 7 minutes of ice time. His role really has been reduced, and that's unfortunate because they need more. They need more from him, and he's not giving it. But Tanner Pearson is the guy that's running away with this poll right now on social, and it does sort of feel like the Canuck fan base has turned on Tanner Pearson. He has 1 goal, and that was the other night against Pittsburgh when Mikheyev just put it on his stick in the crease. So a tap-in, essentially, 10 games into the season. But way beyond that is 6 minor penalties, leads the Canucks, all Canucks, in minor penalties taken, and is among the league leaders in the National Hockey League 10 games in minor penalties taken. And we always talk about Tanner Pearson being this complete and consummate pro and the Stanley Cup pedigree and everything else. Well, part of that is leading by example and not taking an early penalty in the offensive zone last night. Bad penalty, face-off loss, missed assignments, and all of a sudden New Jersey's up 1-0 after 8 seconds of power play time. So they're getting nothing from Tanner Pearson. He has fallen out of the top 6. All these penalties that he's taking, I wonder. Like Bruce Boudreau's already sent the message using Connor Garland in, game 4 of the season? Like, I don't think Connor Garland's getting that treatment again, but if you've already sent a message to a veteran player, like how can anybody on a 2-win team think that they're completely out of the woods when it comes to a difficult decision by a coach? So if they had to sit down Tanner Pearson, like, so be it, I guess, at this stage. Like, I wouldn't have a huge issue with it. And on my Twitter poll, I think it was 60% of the respondents, and it was up over 2,000 votes, 60% were saying, yeah, sit Tanner Pearson down for a game.
Can you explain to me the rules?
No.
With regards to third, I know you were waiting on this one.
Yes. No, I
And I
can't
found it
really.
amusing that Cheech is on the broadcast going, I'm confused, so I'm calling the head office.
The war room, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Third man in is third man in, no?
Yeah, except when you're
what
the fourth,
happened last night? The two Canucks
in.
get ejected, and Bastian, the third man in, doesn't get ejected.
Right, and Miles Wood got the instigator, and so the Canucks came out. The two guys get turfed, but the Canucks came out of it with a power play.
So strange, yeah.
So it really, I don't know, and this is where you'd love to have some access to somebody in the officiating department, because third man in, and look, we all grew up in the 70s and 80s. That was a constant thing. You'd see it a lot of times where a teammate would come to the defense of a teammate, a helpless teammate. And Luke Schenn is a pretty honorable guy. Like, I don't know what got into him last night, but he was raining down punches. By the letter of the law, I think they got that call right. Like, at some point, you have to show a little bit of mercy, or you run the risk of getting thrown out, and that's what happened. But Nathan Bastian was very clearly like, how I came home last night and I watched it again because I was like, did I miss something in real time? Like, was Joshua maybe more involved than I thought? Like, Joshua was the fourth guy to that party. There's no rule about a fourth man in. No. And you can't be the fourth guy in without the third. And that's so right. I have no idea how Nathan Bastian escaped that. But, it was a tame game. Like, where that sort of flashpoint developed. I mean, obviously it was a hit that the Devils didn't like, but otherwise, like, there was no bite in that game whatsoever. And so it was kind of funny to see a third man in and a couple of game misconducts or ejections. There's not going to be further discipline. Luke Schenn doing what Luke Schenn does, sticking up for himself and his teammates and fighting for the cause. And you wished a few more guys kind of brought some of the heat that Luke Schenn does. But yeah, that was just a bizarre situation that doesn't make much sense in the light of day.
All this leads to another loss, and so you'd think they'd be back at it again today, working on this, that, and the other. Power or penalty kill we'll get to in a second. I mean, where's the practice? I mean, are they tired? They just had 3 days off after a game before this one. Like, what's the logic here, do you think?
I've been surprised with the practice schedule this year.
Yeah, so I'll answer the question, and then I float a little working theory here. Okay. And some cryptic messaging, too. Like, we in the media usually are alerted the team's schedule the next day. And after the game last night, it just said next media availability after Thursday's morning skate. So it didn't say full day off, didn't say a practice day. I am led to believe that it is a day off. But we've also seen that the Canucks have brought the guys in and done some dry land when they haven't gone on the ice. But when you're killing penalties at 60%, 10 games into the season, today should absolutely be a special teams day. And forget the 60%, like, that's overall. In their 4 home games, 55.4%. It's a coin flip, essentially, when they take a trip to the penalty box now. They should be working on this, like, up early, long nights, whatever. Like, they've got to get this right, because I just cannot, for the life of me, believe that we are back in a situation a year later after all that this organization went through. 2 head coaches. They've really had 3 different coaches assigned to the penalty kill. And yet it's all the same personnel, essentially, and they're just not getting it done. And JT Miller, it's probably time to get him off the penalty kill. He's been on the ice for 8 of the 12 power play goals the Canucks have given up, and OEL has been on for 7 of them. So how about you work away from those guys? Just try something a little different. And yet, I mean, you saw it last night. Miller out high, kind of isn't able to take away that cross seam pass. And that was really the story too last night, was just all those east-west passes that Canucks couldn't defend and the Devils kept making and were able to score a bunch of goals. But, so why they're not practicing, I mean, this team needs all the help it can get. You've got new players, and I know they got a couple of skates in, but it just, that makes no sense. And we saw it, guys, when they came off the road, that 5-game road trip. Played in Minnesota on a Thursday. The Friday, they did some dry land out at 8 rinks. They didn't skate. And then the home opener, the Buffalo game. Again, this is a team is winless at that point. And the home opener, their morning skate, and I was there at Rogers Arena, no line rushes, no special teams work. Like, it was just a bunch of guys doing drills, and it really seemed bizarre. And it feels like Bruce Boudreau has gone to the optional morning skate, and that's a choice that he makes. But this isn't about morning skates right here. This is a day that should have been used for practice, I think. And I just wonder, like, if you're Bruce Boudreau, and yes, he knows that this team's not good enough and it's got a ton to work on, but really, ever since he's been here, he's heard from upper management about practice habits and, the just the preparation and all this kind of stuff. And I just wonder if at some point he's like, really? Like, if we don't practice, nobody can scrutinize the preparation and the practice habits. Right. I mean, I don't believe that he's going down that road, but it does seem bizarre to me that a team that is in this mud puddle at 2 wins in 10 games isn't out there practicing every opportunity it gets. They had, a bunch of days between the games. They gave them Saturday off completely, back to work Sunday and Monday for the Devils game. Clearly they weren't good enough against a New Jersey team that came very much as advertised. And now you got 2 more home games to try to figure something out here before you're back out on the road, a big Eastern trip coming up that's not going to be easy. And so, just really hard to sort of wrap my head around kind of some of these decisions that they're making right now.
Yep. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around 2-6-2 as well. The worst team in the NHL and their worst start through 10 since 1987. Jeff, you're going to be in for Blake here the next couple of days filling in, so look forward to that, my friend. We'll be listening on.
Don't waste your takes here. You got to save some up for the next couple of days.
So we'll see you then. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks.